Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. My name is Sam McCoy. I've been a member here since I think it was December of 2003. I'm currently serving as the chair of our Sunday services team, and part of what keeps me coming back month after month, year after year, is the spiritual nourishment I get from this place, from both our ministers and our guest speakers. And we're very excited to have Katie Grosh back with us today. You may remember her, she was here in January, and we were so happy that she accepted our invitation to come back again today. If you have not already done so, now is a wonderful time to silence your phone or any other electronic device you may have on your person. I'm glad you're able to join us. Our congregation as a whole is glad that you are all here, whether you're in the fellowship hall or you're online, because for every person who walks through these doors, we are stronger because we are all together. And as we gather this morning, we want to respectfully acknowledge that our fellowship hall and our grounds here are on the traditional lands of the Paugussett people. Before we formally get started this morning, we're going to take a few moments and I invite you to greet your neighbors, to say hello to the people around you, or if you're online, to introduce yourself in the chat. Perfect. Thank you, Alex, for ringing our chimes for us this morning. We have a variety of announcements and reminders today, but our primary announcement is going to come from Keith Henderson, who is our chair of Buildings and Grounds.
Taking off my flowered mask this morning. Yes, Keith Henderson. I'm the person who you might want to talk to about buildings and grounds issues, but I don't do it all by myself. I have several other people that work as well. And you might be one of them. You might want to join us in doing some of the things that need to be done, including making the slides go on the screen here, running the lift up and down in services and so on and so forth. But I want to let you know about a few things, useful things that I think you might want to know. One of them is that there is a new mailbox slots by the refrigerator in the kitchen. So if you have something for the office, for Sherry, for Jerry, for Tony, for Sierra Marie, you can put it there. And if you have something for somebody else, you can even put it there. There's an other slot where you can put it there and then tell, hey, Joe, I put this thing there for you. So now you know that. And then while you're there, notice that on top of the refrigerator, there's a first aid kit. There's another first aid kit on top of the refrigerator in the cottage house. And there's another first aid kit on top of the refrigerator shaped storage thing in the lower level. So when you're looking for a Band-Aid, now you know where to find one. In addition to a small first aid kit there's a bigger box with more supplies if you run out. But now, let's talk about fire safety. So there is a fire extinguisher in the kitchen next to the refrigerator. And there are fire extinguishers by every exit. So if there's a small fire, head for the exit, pull the alarm, grab the extinguisher and put it out if it's a small fire. But if it's a big fire, just get everyone out of the building, go outside, call the fire department, call 911. Even though it calls them automatically, it doesn't call them directly. And somewhere along the chain, something might go wrong. So if there's a real fire, call 911, let them know they should come over here. And then we are going to have a fire drill. The plan is today. After the service, about 5 or 10 minutes into coffee hour. So you have time to get your coffee first. And if it's pouring rain, we might possibly postpone it. But if it's just like this, it's a beautiful day for a fire drill. So If you should hear the alarm, you should of course go to the nearest exit. And for those of you who are here with family members, note that you should go meet your other family members outside, because we want to get everyone out of the building as quickly as possible. The children downstairs will be ushered straight outside, and if you go straight outside, you will find them out there. Outside, we don't want to just go anywhere. We actually all want to go to that far corner of the parking lot near the Black Lives Matter sign, because that's one place that everyone knows that we can join together and find our other people, but it's also out of the way of the fire trucks. You don't want to get in your car and try to drive away, because you'll block the driveway of the fire trucks trying to come in. So go on over there, make sure everyone knows who's here, and we're out of the way of the fire trucks. Yeah, so our fire drill today, enough time to get your coffee. You can take your coffee with you to the fire drill. And then when we're done with that, we'll come back here and we will have a maypole celebration. Now, the plan was originally to do it outside, but we think it's a bit wet, so we're going to do it right in here. And then that may be about all. Let me see. Oh, any of you who have mobility issues, don't feel you need to hobble all the way over to that far corner there. Get yourself out of the building. Make sure you know that somebody knows where you are, and then you're good. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, Keith, you want your mask back? Your floral, his floral accessories. He needs that. So yes, now we've got an idea of how our fire drill is going to work. We're going to give it a whirl after the service, and it's been a while since we've done that, so that's important. In terms of other announcements for today, I'll keep it brief, but like I said, Katie Grosh is back with us today. She's a 2022 graduate from Yale Divinity School, and we're so pleased to have her back with us this morning. Looking ahead to next week, some of our Sunday services team, Nancy and Todd are both here. They will be leading a follow-up service from, when did we do that? In February, when the clan mother of the Paugussett tribe visited us. The follow-up service is titled, "We Are Not Going to Carry Your Water for You, Beyond Land Acknowledgement." So I invite you to join us next week for that important service and discussion. There are a variety of things happening today and this week. The Death Cafe is meeting today at 11:15. There's choir rehearsal at 11:45. So it's a busy day, and I invite you to just look through your order of service for all the other announcements that we need to do that you need to keep track of this morning. So now it is time to move on to lighting our chalice. And I invite Doug to come up and light the chalice for us. We make this time and this place holy simply by being together with each other. And we begin by lighting our flaming chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. So please join me in reciting the words of our chalice lighting affirmation, which are on the screen and in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life. And now it's time for our hymn of welcome. So I invite you to rise in body and or spirit for number 175, "We Celebrate the Web of Life."
Fragment So good to be together. Let's say our children's affirmation. The words are on the screen. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. My flower rings completely put me off on that one. Today's story is called Martin Finds a Way. It was written by T.H. Marshall and illustrated by Katjanya Burkhardt. One fine day, with little to no fanfare, a really nice kid named Martin began a journey. He wasn't headed anywhere special. He was just out enjoying life, smiling and walking, when suddenly he struck upon something. He looked to see what it was and discovered it was a way. He picked it up, tucked it under his arm, and went right on smiling and walking. It felt good to find a way. Later, Martin walked up smiling as his friend Eugene was growing frustrated. Eugene had been working on something, but it wasn't coming together. Something is missing, Eugene said. Martin showed Eugene the way he had found, and he thought it looked perfect. Keep it, said Martin, as he went on smiling and walking. It felt good to share the way. It wasn't too long before Martin found something again. When he looked at it, he realized he had stumbled upon another way. This was a new way. Martin picked it up, looked it over, tucked it under his arm, and went right on smiling and walking. Later, Martin ran into his friend Nancy. Nancy was upset. Nancy had lost her way. Martin showed her the new way he had found. This is a new way, Nancy said. Will it help you find your way? Asked Martin. It might, said Nancy. Then keep it, said Martin, who went right on smiling and walking. It felt good to show the way. Later still, Martin met up with his pal Dave. Dave had a very different way. He wanted Martin to see the very different way. They went to look at it. You're right, said Martin. This is a very different way. Would you like to explore this way? Asked Dave. With you? Asked Martin. Yes, with me, said Dave. Then yes, said Martin. So Martin spent time with Dave exploring the very different way. They examined the way from many perspectives. They got to know the way very well. It was a great way, but eventually Martin decided to continue his journey, so he again started walking. The longer Martin explored, the more ways he found. Martin came to realize that there were many different, worthwhile ways. Each way had its own unique characteristics, but the ways were very similar as well. They were all very good ways. Some ways were perfectly suited to some people. Other ways were perfectly suited to others. There really was no right or wrong way, Martin decided. Everyone just needs to find the way that is right for them, he thought. For some, that was no way. The more that Martin understood that there was not a better way or a worse way, the more he came to like the idea of finding the right way for him. And so he explored many, many ways. And eventually he found it. He found the way that fit him best. It was the way that was right for him. And he headed that way. He is still following the way today. Now, I just want to reassure you, I knew we had 4 kids coming today, but apparently they have been delayed or are otherwise not with us. But we do have kids in the other building, and we also have kids coming later today for a walk, for a hike. if it's not raining, or to be downstairs if it is raining. So I just want to reassure you that the kids are here, even though they're not in the room with us. And we'll still sing this little light of mine together.
Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
One of the ways we build a loving community each Sunday is to hold each other in our hearts and to let each other know that we need to be held by quietly coming forward and placing a stone in the bowl, or coming to the microphone to share our milestone out loud, whether it be a joy or a sorrow. We'll start with our silent milestones. So if anyone would like to, you are welcome to come to the front, place a stone in the bowl, and Jerry will play some quiet music for us.
Breath of life, loving spirit. We come together as a diverse community, united in our truth, our search for truth and meaning. We pray for the presence of love in our lives and in the lives of those around us. As we face the challenges of this world, may love guide us and give us strength. May we embrace differences and celebrate diversity, knowing that love transcends boundaries. We lift up today in the light those who are struggling, those who are sick, and those who mourn. We pray for comfort and peace. We lift up in the light those who are experiencing hate and injustice, discrimination, oppression, and genocide. We pray for all who are experiencing violence and war. May love surround and uplift them, and may we seek peace with justice. Help us to embody love in all that we do and to spread it wherever we go. May our words and actions be guided by compassion and understanding. May love unite us and bring us ever closer to one another. We give thanks for this community and for the love that binds us together. We give thanks that we are not alone, but that we celebrate and mourn together, holding each other in the light. We pray all these things in the name of those who have so many names. Amen.
Spirit of life, come unto me. All the stars of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, in the air, giving life a shape of justice. Hold me close, will set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
The reading for today comes from this book. It's called Life Worth Living, A Guide to What Matters Most by Miroslav Volf, Matthew Krosman, and Ryan McAnally Linz. And this is a book that is near and dear to my heart. I worked very closely with Matt Krosman at Grace Farms, where we used portions of this book and taught it, and I'll share more about it later, but it's a great book. I highly recommend it. And this paragraph that I've chosen for today comes from the introduction, where they're sort of explaining the purpose of this book, sort of understanding these questions about what matters most in our lives and how we explore and come to know these meanings. And they give a few caveats at the beginning about some things where their project might be misunderstood. And this is one of the sort of explanations for how they are coming to think about how we understand these questions about what matters most and the different perspectives that we bring. So they write, "Don't assume that everyone that we've brought to the table basically agrees with one another on the really important stuff. It may be tempting to think so, especially for those of us who worry that religious and ideological disagreements drive the social, cultural, and political conflicts of our day. A universal core that everyone agrees on seems to offer a way out, but no such thing exists. Here, the seminar table metaphor is helpful. Humanities teachers don't go into their classrooms assuming that the students all think already the same thing, or that they'll all think the same thing at the end of the class, for that matter. Enduring disagreement is baked into the format."
We are a generous people and a generous congregation. And through our generous giving, we help to sustain each other and to sustain this community to make sure this congregation has what it needs to serve both our members and our wider community. If you're with us for the first time, your presence here is your gift to us. Members and friends, we invite you to express your generosity by contributing to the plates that will pass here in the fellowship hall, using the QR code that's on the screen, the link that should be appearing in the chat for those of you online. And you are also welcome to mail a check to Clapboard Ridge Road, 24 Clapboard Ridge Road. So we thank you all for doing your part to support and sustain this community that we love.
Close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark been before, and it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that song. You just take a moment to breathe with me. Deep breath in and fully exhale. Another deep breath in, hold it at the top, and then release it all out. Good morning, friends. It's so wonderful to be back with you all again. See some familiar faces and be back in this beautiful space with so much greenery now that spring has come again. So today we're talking about different ways, different dreams. And I thought we'd begin by playing a little game. This is called Pick a Side or Pick a Way. Okay. So I'm going to say two options and you have to pick one. Okay. And we're going to point in the direction. Sometimes done this with kids where we have physically run and like moved our bodies, but it's a calm day. We just did our breathing. So I think we can stay and we can point. Okay. So I'll give you a choice. You're gonna point one way or the other. Okay. Are olives yucky or yummy? Yucky or yummy? Okay. 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 A little bit of disagreement there. Okay. Do you prefer cats or dogs? Oh, it is hard. Oh, okay. I see some people pointing both ways. We've got crossing ways. Okay. Do you prefer summer or winter? Oh, we have a direction going up. Okay, there's many ways here. Okay. Would you rather explore the mountains or a beach? Oh, okay. I love the multiplicity of the directions, right? Where these are all good answers, right? And it might have been hard to pick. We agreed on some things and not on others. There were fingers pointing in directions that I have never seen before, right? Like olives or no olives. You probably have at least I have a strong opinion about that. I am a no olive person. And my opinion is not going to change anytime soon. Sorry what you olive people are saying. I just don't like olives. And this game may be simple and fun, but it can teach important lessons. I got my MDiv from Yale Divinity School in 2022, and as part of that process, I had an internship where I brought games and embodied activities to elementary, middle, and high school participants in our Life Worth Living classes and field trips. So Life Worth Living, the name might be familiar, was a class originally before the book existed. Life Worth Living was a class created through the Yale Center for Faith and Culture. And it has transformed into many things over the years, including this book as one of the iterations. And at Grace Farms, we had students come from all over and play these games, thinking about conversations, about these questions of what does life mean? Yeah, these sort of big, important questions that we all face in our lives. And Life Worth Living is a framework to help think through those questions. So things like, how does a good life feel? What are the emotional aspects to a good life? Who are we responsible to when we think about our responsibilities? What is the role of suffering in a good life? Is there one? We take these religious and philosophical traditions from across time and place, knowing that they have offered answers to these questions. And Life Worth Living pulls into these ancient and modern sources of wisdom to help us think about our own answers. We don't go on these journeys alone, but people from Jesus to Buddha to Muhammad to indigenous traditions have thought about these questions over centuries and millennia and come to a variety of answers about what does it mean for life to go well? What does it mean for life to feel good? What does it mean for us to fail? And this, I think in some ways, this perspective of looking through a variety of traditions sounds a little right? Maybe that sounds kind of familiar. And one important perspective that we stressed in this class and with the students, especially when they got stressed about which way to pick, is that there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. And there's no one answer. These kids who have learned for so long that there's, on a multiple choice test, there is a correct solution, to see an open page and realize that there are many ways, like we heard in our story today, many different ways, can sometimes be overwhelming and can sometimes be really freeing. As we read in the quote earlier, don't assume that everyone we've brought to the table, all of these different religious and philosophical traditions, don't assume that they all agree with one another. Enduring disagreement is baked into the format. Enduring disagreement. How does that difference make you feel? If you're honest with yourself, I can say it made many of the folks in our seminar class quite uncomfortable. Oftentimes, we would confront very different, opposite, and contradictory responses to a question. I'll give one example. On the issue of responsibility, we compared a utilitarian perspective that we are equally responsible to all people with impartiality. We compared that with a Confucian perspective that we are uniquely responsible to our families above others, that we should have partiality towards some. And we would ask our students, in this case, well, sometimes young students, but oftentimes adults, which side do you agree with? Which side? Here are some other options that we thought about, some differences. What should we do when we face suffering? Should we accept it or struggle against it? How should a good life feel? Should we strive for joy and happiness? Or should we strive for contentment and peace, a kind of emotional impartiality? Is it better to have a deep commitment to the world around us, or a wise non-attachment to a world that is always changing? Do you consider the needs of individuals or the collective to be more important? And it can be really tempting in these cases to say, well, both, or somewhere in the middle, or it depends. You might be tempted to say, well, olives or no olives, it's really just the same. We all eat food. But friends, I will not eat my pizza with olives on it. I think it's yucky. These enduring lines of difference are real. They shape us, they inform us. We do different things in the world because of it, but these differences are not bad. It didn't stop our seminar classes or the kids from having wonderful conversations, from getting to know one another and forming deep trust. And while this may not be popular in academic spaces, I might say that in that space there was love. This month, for the Unitarian Universalists, the theme of the month is pluralism. Plural meaning more than one. In fact, pluralism is about the many and the myriad ways of being. A religiously pluralistic community has mutually inspiring relationships, which means that people have relationships where they can fundamentally disagree about some things, but support and admire things in one another across lines of difference. And pluralism at its best is made possible by love. Love that is expansive and freeing, that allows us to reach across boundaries and barriers and join hands. This love liberates us from isolation, fear, and hatred, and liberates us to connect, understand, appreciate, and value. We come with many differences, whether we come to a seminar table or we come through these doors. We come with differences in feelings, beliefs, perspectives, preferences, life experiences, and identities. And these differences are good. I'll quote the UU website, "We need not think alike to love alike." We don't need to be the same to love one another. And I think this is true in human communities, but also within the broader web of life. I think about as we look out the window and see all these trees greening back up, this beautiful springtime. I think about myself and trees. We are very different, right? A tree makes oxygen, has leaves, and grows to be very tall. I make CO2, I have hair, I am barely 5'2". I will never be a tree. And a tree will never be me. But I can love a tree. I can work on behalf of trees. I can speak out for environmental justice. We can have reciprocity with the earth and mutuality and connection with one another. Before divinity school, I studied environmental science and geology, and from my environmental science classes, we know that biodiversity is key. A singular crop is a monoculture, and it is terrible for the soil. But when you interplant and grow multiple crops next to each other, they can each nourish one another. Indigenous communities have taught us the wisdom of the three sisters: beans, corn, and squash. The corn stalk serves as a trellis for the beans. The beans fix nitrogen in the soil and stabilize the corn. And the wide leaves of the squash shade the ground, keeping the soil moist and preventing weeds. These plants, beans, corn, and squash, are better together because of their uniqueness and their differences. These differences should be celebrated. When we try to deny enduring lines of difference, if we do that, it's kind of like saying, I don't see color in regards to race, or you're not fat, you're beautiful, or I don't think of you as disabled, right? These can be really harmful statements, and we know that there is nothing wrong with any body. To not perceive these realities of race or weight or ability is to not recognize the fullness of the beauty of our friends. Love is not an eraser of difference. Love does not flatten out our experiences saying we are all the same. Because friends, I am not the same as you, and what a beautiful thing that is. Love allows me to say, let me hear your different story. Tell me about the way that you found. Love uplifts our uniqueness and allows us to appreciate one another. It celebrates diversity. The rainbow holds together all of the many colors, each shining through in their own beauty. This kind of love is liberating. Love calls us across the divisions to have empathy and to grow in understanding. I also want to be clear today that there are some differences in perspectives that are not born out of love and do not promote love. Some people hold perspectives of prejudice or violence or hatred, and these are not the perspectives that I want to celebrate today. And I also want to honor boundaries of differences from these sources. These are also perspectives that do not thrive in pluralistic spaces. Pluralism has to come from an openness to difference, not a my way or the highway kind of viewpoint, but holding multiple differences together and looking at their differences and saying, yes, this is good. I can love across these boundaries. I've found that interfaith spaces are a great place to practice pluralism and celebrate these differences. When I was in college, I worked as a chaplain's associate at our interfaith chapel. I went to Carleton College in Minnesota, which is not necessarily known for its diversity, but at least within rural Minnesota. But at Carleton, the interfaith chapel was a beacon of light and hope and love. I loved being a chaplain's associate. Monday nights was the science and religion discussion group. Tuesdays was Taste of Torah. Wednesday night was Taizé evening prayer. Thursday was Buddhist meditation. You get the idea. Every day, a different practice. We celebrated all of the religious holidays. Every Sunday, we rotated through a special service where people from different traditions would lead in their unique style. And people would come for a soup supper and to learn and practice different traditions. As a chaplain's associated, I participated in traditions that were not my own, but traditions that have come to hold important meaning for me, nevertheless. And when I graduated, I often wondered where I would be able to find these spaces where I could come together with different people and practice different ways. Holding on to as well my own way, as someone raised in the United Methodist Church, who's ecumenically Christian, but still being able to appreciate all of the different ways and perspectives that others bring. I've been in a lot of interfaith spaces lately as a Yale graduate, attending the protests for Yale to disclose and divest from weapons manufacturing. And these spaces on campus have been truly one of the most diverse spaces I have ever seen. And I speak from my perspective to say that in these spaces, I've seen people from many ages and nationalities and religions and countries coming together to petition for peace. Everyone has contributed in their own and different ways. Artists drawing, musicians playing, dancers dancing their hearts out, and all on the same lawn at Cross Campus. There are Muslim students who are holding Jummah prayers. On the first night of Passover, Jewish students led a Seder. Christian students from the Divinity School start each morning with Taizé morning prayers. These artistic contributions and expressions of faith are not the same. They're functioning in different ways for different purposes, for different people, and that is a good thing. To have a space of love and respect where different people can come together, bringing their own traditions. It's a really, really beautiful thing to see. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Jewish. I'm not a tree. But I long for more of these opportunities for mutuality and connection like I have experienced in the Liberated Zone on campus, where we work together for life and belonging and dignity for all persons and the land. This is where I have seen pluralism in action. A principle that the UUs hold dear is the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. I'm grateful for each of our unique journeys, the different ways that we have come to be in this place today. I'm grateful for the ways in which we are not the same. I hope we can allow these enduring lines of differences to not be walls that separate us, but instead support beams, trellises to grow on, that these differences might be nourishment for our soil, shade to block the weeds. May these differences be invitations to stretch your mind and heart and spirit into new ways of thinking and feeling and living. Differences will endure. We will not all agree. Differences will endure, but so will love. A love that honors and allows us to expansively connect with and care for one another in all of our divine and enduring differences. And I give thanks for the differences and for the love. We'll now join together in singing a song about building that beloved community. This is We'll Build a Land.
Generations, oh, we'll build a land of peoples. Come to the land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, live in peace, where justice shall roll down like water, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
Please be seated. We will extinguish the chalice in a moment. I wanted to take a second beforehand to thank Katie. Thank you for today. That was beautiful. I also want to offer a mea culpa. I made an egregious omission during announcements this morning, and I'm surprised Nancy didn't throw rocks at me from the back. There. I was so caught up in the fire drill. Today is a day for music at the Ridge. Joe Jenks is going to be here this afternoon. Please come back at 4 p.m. and enjoy the music here and support this concert series. So, absolutely.
So Joe Jenks is a UU, and it shines in his music. He is passionate. He's got a gorgeous conservatory-trained voice, and I encourage you to come and experience Joe Jenks.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. And so with that, now we will take another breath. We will extinguish our chalice. So please join me with the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
Hear these words, my friends. May you approach one another's differences with respect and curiosity and eagerness to learn. May you know that bearing witness to difference is bearing witness to the divine. May you delight in the wonders of diversity, and may you find love wherever you go. We've extinguished this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. We carry these in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Will you go in peace today?